right, so I don't know if anybody can see me. Say hello in the comments. Welcome everybody on this is my first ever live stream on YouTube. I've done many live streams on Instagram and also on TikTok, but nice to have you here. Nice to have people in my community. I've sent out a lot of invites to people on my newsletter and also through TikTok as well. So hopefully we're going to come together and just learn something. So say hello in the comments. Let me see if you guys are here because it's so much harder on YouTube to actually see who is here. So feel free to say hello. Let's keep the comment section firing up. So today I thought we should be talking a bit about, I'm going to talk a bit about what we celebrate today, which is 1,000 subscribers, but I thought we should also definitely be talking about how to stay motivated when it comes to our English fluency. So it's going to be so important for all of us to find ways to stay motivated with our English because it's something that takes a long time. And without having the skills, without having all the tools that we actually need to stay on track, it's going to be really difficult for us to stay on track with our English. And that's the goal of today's live as well. So hopefully by the end of this live, you'll be walking away with a couple of tips on how to stay motivated with English and eventually how to get to a fluent level, how to get to a confident level of English in a short amount of time. And I've also been streaming this on TikTok as well, so hopefully we'll be able to get some people from over there as well. Lucas is watching me on that channel. Hopefully he will notice me there. Hello Yundani, how is it going? Nice to have you here. And if you guys have any questions, let's keep this interactive. I'm here to share my journey. I'm here to share what worked for me, what helped me stay on track, not just with my YouTube channel, but also with my English, and some of the things I did about my discipline, and also some of the things I always teach my students so they don't give up so easily on their English. I truly believe, and this is what I always tell you, you are perfectly capable of learning to speak English as long as you have the right tools and the right mindset and you're using the right strategies. Now, have you guys ever considered giving up learning English? Let's just share in the comments. Have you guys ever thought, oh my God, maybe this is gonna take me too much time. Maybe I should stop. Maybe I just shouldn't do this. And has it ever happened? Let me know. Because I used to think a lot about this when I was learning English as well. But that's where we eventually need to focus a lot on the reasons we should keep going, right? Many times when people give up learning or they want to take a big break, maybe they think they're going to take a break for about a month. I see this all the time. When people get bored, maybe their English isn't improving as fast as they want to, or they have other things to do. I think many times what's gonna happen to us is we don't want to feel uncomfortable. And many times when we don't want to feel uncomfortable, we want to avoid the uncomfortable feeling of staying stuck. But sometimes staying stuck and still choosing to stay on track, still choosing to keep learning, even if we don't see the results, is the first and most important thing you need to do when it comes to improving your English fluency and staying motivated as well. Staying motivated is all about how you respond to whatever is going on around your English, right? So there are so many reasons we can give up, right? We want to use our time to meet our friends. Maybe we are too exhausted to participate in classes or to always spend time learning English after work. And it's going to be really difficult for us to do that. So it's easy for many people to give up. It's easy to lose motivation if we look at motivation the way people look at it. But the truth is, motivation doesn't work like that. And it's something I share a lot about on my TikTok as well. And I also talked about this here on my YouTube channel many times. What is motivation? Do you guys know this? Let me just ask this question in the chat as well. What makes us motivated or stay motivated? What's the psychology of that, basically? The brain science. People can always stay motivated if there are many different things, right? The first thing is we need to be okay with the frustration of being stuck. And that's what I just shared in the first 5 minutes, right? So being able to be okay with not making progress, not seeing progress necessarily. We might still be making progress. Just because you don't see progress, you are still making progress. I want you to know that. It's just like when you plant a seed into the garden and you are waiting, many times the seed is going to grow underground, right? But does that mean the plant isn't growing just because you don't see anything on the surface, right? It doesn't mean that. So what we need to do is we need to make sure that we are patient. So the first ingredient, I would say, to staying motivated with your English is actually patience. Patience is one of the most important skills you need to have in the 21st century. Why? Because that's going to help you stand out. 95% of the people are impatient. They complain after the first time they do something and they say, I can't do this. I must be horrible at it, right? They are impatient with themselves. Many people are so used to short form videos, TikTok, Instagram, everything else, right? Or ordering food you can get in like 5 minutes, loading a website, you will have it in 3 seconds. But for things like building a business, running a YouTube channel, learning English, the most important thing for us to do is, oh, by the way, I just realized people can't read my what I wrote here. So guys, if you can join us on YouTube as well, by the way. So I think that's the first thing we need to get. How patience with yourself is gonna be the most important thing we need to do, right? When we get to a stage where maybe things get more difficult, when we have blocks or we feel like we are not improving, or it's time for us to get to a higher level of English, always remember why you started. Always remember the reasons you keep going, right? People can give you advice, but eventually you need to make the final decision. And the reason you're going to stay, eventually your motivation is your dream or your goal, right? Basically having a better life. This is what my company, my programs help my students with. Having more confidence when they communicate at work. Being able to leave their country and move to another country so they can communicate effectively. Or even simply things like traveling to other countries without someone else to rely on, having friends from all over the world, earning more money, right? All of these things can be your dream that you keep in mind, and this is your big why. And it's the same thing about my English. When I talk about what really helped me stay motivated was that I had a dream. Many of you guys know that my big dream was to live in London. So I'm originally from Hungary, right? It's a small country. Many people don't even know where it is, and it's okay if you don't know. I didn't like it there. People are so judgmental there. Like, people always find something to criticize, something to complain about, but they never change their lives. And I didn't like that atmosphere. And I thought there is something I could do, but not here. So I trained to be an English teacher. I was 22 years old when I left. Hello, Renata. How is it going? So I wanted to leave, and I had this dream, and I kept telling everybody. I was like 17, and our school organized a school trip to London. And I told everybody, no, I'm not going to London on a trip because I'm going to live there. So I don't need to go. And I kept telling everybody, people thought I'm crazy. I think it was maybe 2006, 2007. And I told everyone, I'm going to live in London. I told my parents, I'm going to live in London. My parents were like, no, yeah, sure. But that's what kept me going. I'm not telling you to have your goal as like living in London, but have a goal, like have a reason why you're doing it and make it strong enough. Why is it important to make it strong enough? Because eventually that's what's going to give you a lot of courage when you need to take courage. We need to be able to have a dream that is stronger than our fears, right? I always say the reason you feel scared and you don't overcome your fears is because your fear is bigger than your dream. So the goal is to make that dream big. And I'm not going to stop talking about this because I see way too many people not having a dream or not being brave enough to have a dream. So have a dream to work for. Think about how speaking English can eventually change your life, how it could help you earn more money, have more freedom at work or in your life, to be able to spend the limited amount of time you can spend with the people you love, the things you love doing. Or if your dream is to live in another country, then have that. You can. It's your dream. But be brave enough to have that dream. Be brave enough to work towards that dream, because no one else will. And your dream isn't going to go away. So whenever you feel like, hey, maybe this is something that could be my dream, yeah, choose that to be your dream and don't give up on it. I'm delusional. Many people told me I'm crazy. Many people asked me, what am I going to do in London as a Hungarian teacher teaching English? But I didn't care. I was like, this is what I want to do. And I did it because I kept staying so consistent with my English. When you have your dream in your mind and you're like, okay, I need to do my studies. Okay, I need to work part-time. Okay, I need to meet my friends. And I have all these other things in my life. But when you have a dream, you are able to put in the effort and work towards your goals, right? Oops. Newcomers won't have no idea where we are. So this is important, guys. Be brave enough to dream. Be brave enough to think that there is a better life out there, whether it's more money, more freedom, more opportunities, more relationships. Always think about this, right? With the help of speaking English fluently, you can have a better life. Just be brave and dream, because that's what's going to help you wake up in the morning, go through your days with positivity, because you know that there is a better day. Even if you have difficulties, even if you have days when you feel really exhausted, even if when you have, like, you haven't seen a lot of progress, you keep making mistakes and it's so frustrating not to overcome it. If you have that dream to work for, you're gonna get there. And it has been true for me so many times, and not stop telling you guys how important it is for you to have a clear goal, something to look forward to, something that wakes you up every day and helps you snap out of bed and just do something about your English. So that's the first thing. The second thing that really helped me was consistency. Now, many people think that consistency means that they need to learn English every single day. And that is not true, because sometimes we need to take a rest, right? Sometimes we just need a rest We are human beings, not rocks or plants. Even plants need to rest in the winter, right? So it's important for us to spend consistent time with English. I don't know your schedule. Like, let's see in the chat, guys. How busy are you? Like, how many hours a day do you guys work or study if you're a student? Can you guys share in the chat? Because you can create consistency based on your life, right? If you are really busy, you can only spend 2 hours a week having conversation with other people, then that's your consistency. But if you have much more time because maybe you only work for 6 hours a day on 4 days of the week, then you can have maybe 4 or 5 days where you spend some time learning English, and that's your consistency, right? So your life is going to be different from other people's lives. Just because you don't have as much time for English as other people, that doesn't mean that there's anything wrong. What we need to focus on is create consistency that helps us make progress, but it also helps us not losing track of our progress. That's so, so important for us, right? So that's the first thing, or sorry, the second thing, right? Create a consistency. Every Monday and every Thursday and every Saturday or Sunday, whatever, just do it. No excuses, right? If your neighbor invites you over because she wants you to have a look at the cat's whatever piss to smell it or whatever, yeah, then don't go. Just tell them that you have a commitment with your English, right? Oh, so Lucas says I work 12, 15 hours a day. So yeah, so it must be difficult for you to make time for your English as well, right? But when you know that you have a goal, like I know Lucas is really committed, really ambitious, he is going to eventually be able to improve his fluency as well, right? So I'm glad that you still put in the effort. So thank you so much, Lucas, for doing all this. So the thing with consistency is understanding how our brain works. And as an English coach, I always try to do my best to teach my students based on how it's the easiest to the brain. Unfortunately, we live in a society where we don't know how to use our brain. So if I can give you a piece of advice that's outside the scope of today's topic, is learn about your brain. Learn to understand your brain, why you feel nervous, why you feel anxious, why you feel unmotivated. There is something going on in your brain, right? That's why you're experiencing it. So think about the things you already do and why you already do them, right? So let's say you check your phone every day. Maybe you finish work. What is the first thing you do? You probably check TikTok, or you check YouTube or anything else. So our brain operates on habits. When you have a habit, you do it. The reason it's so easy for us to open TikTok is because it's so easy to do this habit, right? We have a smartphone in our pockets and it's so easy. But if I ask you to go to your analytics and check how many hours you spend on that one app, watching other people speak to you and having fun, how many hours would that be, right? So imagine even spending half of that time you spend on social media improving your English skills, like actively using real movies, podcasts, or articles, or anything else, right? So I think that's going to be so important for us. It's, where was I going? Building habits that support your goal. It's something that helped me a lot. Building a habit is challenging, but when you build that habit, it's going to take you a few months. And I always give a lot of extra training to my students around this. But when you have a habit, you don't have to be motivated because your brain runs through the same days every day, right? So when you wake up, you probably do the same thing today. You did the same thing today as you did yesterday, right? You did exactly the same things. You went to the bathroom, maybe you went to the toilet, you washed your face, you brushed your teeth, you had breakfast. We go through exactly the same days. And that's how your brain gives you the next instruction, right? That's how your brain builds habits. There's nothing more important for us as language learners than build really good learning habits. Even if it's like a 10-minute reviewing, an opportunity for us to learn vocabulary, or maybe sometime in the evening to watch something in English, to take notes of the useful expressions, or few times a week, have the habit of having conversations with other people as well, right? These are so important for all of us. So make sure you spend some time on this, right? Now, are you guys building any habits? Let's see. What is something that you guys do almost every day? Can you guys share in the chat? Besides coming to my lives on TikTok, if you guys know me from TikTok. What is something you do almost every day on a regular basis? Maybe checking the news in English, listening to a podcast while you're driving to work. Anything else? That's your English habits. The most important thing about learning. If you have a habit, you're not going to miss it. And that's why it's so important. You're not going to miss it. You're not going to feel unmotivated to do it. You're going to do it even if you don't feel 100% ready. You're going to do it even if you don't feel 100%, what is it called? 100% full of energy eventually, right? So guys, can you share any habits you guys have? Maybe it's watching YouTube videos, or studying grammar, or reviewing vocabulary using flashcards. Feel free to be brave in the chat, it's okay. Any habit, you guys, something that you do, maybe not every single day, you don't have to do it every day, but maybe something you do at least a few times a week. No habits? There's so many different things we can do, right? We cannot just spend a few hours a week immersing ourselves in English, right? We have 168 hours in a week. So we need to make sure that part of that is in English, whether it's reading a book, listening to a podcast, listening to songs, reading articles, reviewing vocabulary, even if it's like 15 minutes a day, but building helpful English learning habits is your number one job. Your habits create your future, right? So most people spend, let's say, 4 or 5 hours at least on social media every day, and they are surprised that their life isn't moving anywhere. Well, imagine spending that time working on a skill, like learning English, right? So your habits, that the things you do every day, are gonna build your future. And that was something I doubled down on a lot. I focused on it a lot when I was learning English, making sure that when I wake up, as I was having breakfast, I had my notebook with me. We didn't have tablets or something back in like 2006 when I was learning English. But I remember what I did was reviewing vocabulary while I was having breakfast, for example. Okay, Lucas says, hear songs in the morning and podcasts. Yeah, that's a good one. Definitely a great habit to have. It's especially in the morning because your brain is very active, right? So I used to, didn't really listen to music when I was waking up, but I was always reviewing like vocabulary from the previous day, for example. And then I also spent a bit of time like reading on the bus when I was going to high school. And then in the evening, I was always watching some movies. So all this was automatic, and I didn't waste my time. I kept doing it. I followed the habit, right? I just built a habit already. So all I needed to do was continuing the habit and keeping on doing it until I saw, whether I saw some progress or not, I just kept doing it, right? So habits are also going to help you stay motivated. When people say they want to stay motivated, many times they say that it's like they wanna, it's a feeling, but we cannot just do something whenever we feel motivated, right? I always say that. Like, I love when, like, Renata also mentioned it a few minutes ago on TikTok, how she gets inspired by my content or my lives and everything. You don't need me to get inspired. You can inspire yourself. You can find inspiration in yourself. And part of that is to have a habit. Because when you have a habit, you're not going to think, oh my God, I should do it, I shouldn't do it. It's going to be automatic, right? So, what is maybe one thing you can start doing? Okay, we've got Renata here as well. Read English books, 1 chapter a day, listen to a podcast, watch movies. Brilliant. Mm-hmm. What about speaking? I know that that's your Achilles heel, but eventually we can also do that. But 1 chapter a day, that's gonna give you a lot of vocabulary. Definitely gonna give you a lot of vocabulary. The only task now is to like activate all that vocabulary you learned from books and podcasts and everything else, right? But brilliant, that's already a good start. So yeah, habits are important. Almost every day, do something about your English, right? If your habit is to actually, sorry, by the way, I'm still reading like some of the comments here on TikTok as well. I'm trying to create a habit for my brain. Yeah, any habit. The challenge with habits, I have a YouTube video on this. If anybody's interested in how to build habits, I have a YouTube video on that, and that's gonna help you, because there is a science on it. This is part of what I teach to my students who are part of my coaching program, how to naturally build a habit. And it's not what you think. It's not about forcing yourself to do something all the time. But there are science-based ways for us to build English habits, right? Part of that could be things like recording yourself every day, or taking notes of useful expressions when you listen to a podcast or something, right? So that's something that's going to help you too. Now, what other equivalents or what other components are there to my journey, both on YouTube and also on my English learning journey? Now, one of the things I do, and this is something I'm really grateful to my parents for, this is something I saw from them. Unfortunately, I see many people not doing this, and it always breaks my heart. And I lost the iPad subscription. So my parents always told me, we're going to do this or we're going to do that because we are not breaking our promises. Every time I heard them say that. I already made a promise, so I'm not gonna break my promise. I already promised my XYZ something, so I'm not going to break my promise. And this is also true about promises you make to yourself. It's something called self-integrity. So make sure you always, part of building your confidence, it's something, again, I coach my students around a lot, how you need to learn to trust yourself. So part of speaking confidently in a conversation comes from trusting yourself, trusting that maybe there are going to be people who you won't understand, or maybe there are going to be things in a conversation you can't control, but you can control yourself. But for that to happen, you need to trust yourself. So imagine what happens when you, let's say you want to meet your friend at 6 p.m. on a Saturday, and you don't go. how would your friend feel? Not happy, right? Maybe one time is okay if you're really good friends, but imagine promising something to your friend and not meeting him every single week or every time you make a promise. Now, this is what many people do when they make promises to themselves. They are like, today I'm gonna speak, and then people don't speak. Or, okay, this Saturday it's time for me to take off the subtitles for a few minutes, and then they don't do it. So you are breaking trust with yourself. You are losing, not breaking, like trust with yourself when you promise something to yourself and you don't keep that promise. So it's gonna help you a lot with your confidence. It's gonna help you incredibly with your confidence, because part of confidence is self-trust, how you trust yourself. But it's also gonna help you stay motivated, right? Stay motivated towards your English goals. It's so funny how there are more people on TikTok watching than on the YouTube live. Guys, come over to my YouTube channel here. There is a bigger space here for us to interact. So always remember that your trust with yourself is the most important trust you need to build. So if you don't keep all your promises, that's fine. It doesn't need to be 100%. That's impossible. I can't do that either. But make sure when you promise to yourself you're going to do something, do it. Even if it feels scary, even if it feels like you're too tired to do it, just do it, right? That's going to help you build trust with yourself. That's going to help you feel so much more confident, because part of speaking English confidently is saying, I am okay in this conversation, no matter what happens. If I don't understand something, I'm okay. If I make a mistake, if I don't pronounce the word correctly, I'm okay, right? So that's important for us. If I speak English, there is a fear I'm afraid of wrong grammar. But that's where we need to take the action there, right? So you won't be able to learn how to say something better unless you speak. And that's partly why promising to ourselves that, okay, no more fight, no more playing, right? Time to take it seriously and just speak. Today, I'm going to speak. I'm going to practice having a conversation. I'm going to look for somebody to practice with. And then keep that promise to yourself. That is so important to everybody, guys. Make sure you keep as many of your promises to yourself as you can. You don't need to trust other people, but you need to trust yourself that you're gonna be okay. And it's done through just like real trust, right? It's easy to lose it with another person. So you are gonna lose your own trust as well if you keep breaking your promises. So as many times as you can, keep your promises to yourself. This is so, so, so important. Okay, so that's something that also helps you become a person you can trust. Yeah, I'm just thinking what else. Discipline is also an important thing. And oh my God, how many times this happened to me on this YouTube channel? And I think if you guys can go back and you see how I posted the videos, I posted a few videos until I left Japan because the places I was living at were not really, like I couldn't record a video. There wasn't enough light, basically. So I recorded maybe like 5 videos and then I took a break. I took a break for a few months, and in Thailand, when I was already there, and I had a good apartment, I started to record again. And I recorded videos until the end of 2021, so 2021. And then I took another break, mainly because I was in other places. I was 3 weeks in Malaysia, 3 weeks in Cambodia, 1 week in Vietnam, then London. There was a conference I was at. and then I was in Hungary. So I had 6 months break from YouTube. I didn't post anything, maybe besides shorts. And then I started to post again. And since then, I've been posting consistently, more or less, basically. So it's okay to follow the track. It's okay not to do it consistently, but your main goal should be to get back on track, to find ways to get back on track with your learning, right? Find ways to find time. Life can change, it can easily change, right? And we need to find ways to respond to those changes. So when maybe you have a different job you have to do, or maybe you have an extra hobby you want to spend time on, that doesn't mean you should like completely eliminate your English learning, right? Remember that it's the people who stay motivated, stay on track, but still find a way to spend some time with their English, even if their life changes, right? I'm telling you this as a reminder that as long as you find ways to make time for your English throughout the day, even if your life changes, something in your life changes, that's gonna be a surefire ticket to staying motivated with your English fluency as well. Yeah. So what I was talking about when it comes to discipline is how many times, especially in the beginning, guys, you need to be okay not doing something well. You need to be okay with making grammar mistakes, mispronouncing every second word, and not saying everything correctly. Because this is the single most important thing people avoid. And they realize too late that they haven't improved too much. We need to be okay with starting. That's what we call the beginner's mindset, right? A learner should be okay with sucking at something. So it took me probably about 3-4 hours to shoot enough material for a 15-minute video. It was horrible. I hated it. I think at the end of my YouTube videos, I always leave a few of these bloopers when I was making a mistake, when I forgot my line or anything else. You will see how I was getting so angry at myself. I was so impatient with myself. I've never done it before, right? So I had to be okay sucking. I had to be okay with the camera on me all the time. So I think it was at least for about 1.5 years until I felt more comfortable on camera, on YouTube, for example. So something you can remember is that first, we need to be okay not doing it well. You need to learn to overcome the discomfort. You need to train yourself to do it no matter how you feel. This is how the big cheeses, this is how the big players play the game called learning to speak English. They always find ways to do something, even if it's difficult, even if it's makes you feel nervous, even if it's even if it's frustrating, right? Find ways to do it anyway. Comfort is the enemy of learning. So whenever you need to do something that's painful a little bit, that might be uncomfortable, that makes you feel like you're freaking out, do it. Do it because that's gonna give you the experience. And then the experience is gonna give you the confidence, right? People aren't confident about doing something. Like I wasn't confident about recording a YouTube video or editing a YouTube video or writing a description or promoting it or anything else, but I did it anyway. And that's literally the key to success in any field in your life, not just in English, right? Be okay not doing it well. And if you do it and you don't do it well, do it again. And then if you don't do it well, do it again. Do it again until you get better. Okay? I used to have this huge struggle with my perfectionism. And I share a lot on this on TikTok as well, on YouTube, so you guys probably know this as well, right? But what helped me is a simple shift. I shifted away from perfectionism. I still wanted to speak really good English. I still really wanted to have a good YouTube channel. So I shifted away from wanting to do it perfectly to wanting to do it better. And honestly, it was something relieving. It helped me save a lot of my energy. It gave me a lot of freedom because all I needed to focus on was doing it 1% better. Every video I posted, I was trying to do it a little bit shorter, so it takes less time, right? Or a little bit more calm when I'm recording, for example. I always try to make sure I do it a little bit better, but not perfectly. And unfortunately, too many people spend years not practicing speaking because they expect to do it perfectly. And part of that is emotional management, right? So learn to calm down. And if it's something really scary, you can use many things. I also talk about this a lot. So in my program, in my coaching program, those who join, that's like people who join the course, they have the opportunity to get coaching as well for faster results, for helping them to eliminate their negative thoughts. So one of the things is coaching that can help you a lot with eliminating the negative thoughts that you are telling yourself, and that basically holds you back from practicing your English. Another thing you can do is breath work, right? You can start. Lucas says sometimes many people don't understand what I'm saying. Many people? Who? Many people? Did you speak in front of many people? And yeah, this is a huge one, but I think this is complex because a conversation is a two-way street. So it's not always about you, right? We can always try our best to express ourselves, but we are not the only ones responsible for the whole conversation, the communication itself. So don't necessarily blame yourself. You can always work on your English, but it's not always your fault. Maybe the other person is just shit at listening. And that's something I can always see in reality. People are really bad listeners many times. So Lucas, don't not everything is about you. Sometimes it's you, sometimes it's not. But we can only focus on and we should only worry about the things that we are full control. What is it? What we are full control in. And you're only in control over what you do and what you think. You're not in control over whether another person understands you or not. You can do the best and speak clearly and pronounce words clearly, but it doesn't mean the other person shouldn't work on their listening skills, right? I don't know if this is making sense. But discipline is all about this. And it's what I shared with you at the beginning. You have a dream, a great life, freedom, where you don't need to worry. You feel free to do anything, free to live, travel, work, study anywhere in the world because speaking English allows you to have that. And for that freedom, you need to be willing to do sometimes a challenging thing. That's emotional intelligence, right? Making sure I learn how to manage my emotions, how to calm down, so I can do something today that in 5 years I'm gonna be thankful for. So whenever you face a difficult decision, I always recommend asking yourself this question. So should I do this or not? I'm so nervous, I'm so tired, I'm so whatever. Ask yourself, what is my life going to look like in 6 months from today if I do this and if I don't do this, right? Look at the consequences. What's going to happen in 3 months, 6 months to my English if I do this or if I avoid doing this, right? That's gonna help you fling into action, take action, because you are reminded that if you don't take action, you don't speak English, in 6 months from now, nothing will change, for example, right? And this is discipline. This is discipline, doing something today that your future self will thank you for. There is a definition of discipline that I forgot, but I think I can remember. So discipline is putting away current pleasures for future rewards and loving yourself enough to do what needs to be done in the pursuit of what was meant for you. I don't know if you guys understand the language itself. So basically, discipline is all about loving yourself and saying, I need to do this because if I don't do this today, I'm going to regret it. And I don't want to feel the pain or regret, right? I want to improve. And in order for me to improve, I need to go through this now. I need to experience this fear today. So tomorrow or next week when I practice, I feel less nervous. And we can clearly see, for example, with Lucas's example, how he felt really nervous in the beginning, but now I think he feels a little bit more comfortable with his English when he speaks. So always focus on doing one little challenging or hard thing that will benefit you in the future. This is how successful English learners think. Yeah, so I think these are roughly some of the things that really help me build my YouTube channel, but also these are the things that help me with my fluency, with my business, with everything else in life. So just to recap, make sure you have a dream and never, ever, 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 ever give up on your dream of having a better, freer, brighter, richer future for yourself. The second one is build habits. Make sure your habits of today, how you spend your limited amount of time, 24 hours a day, make sure that those habits support your future, right? Start building habits one by one, not everything. Just make sure you have habits that support your future. And they are not pretending to study, but actually helping you improve your fluency skills, right? And then build consistency. So create a consistency, something you can do in your life. Twice a week, having conversations with people. Every 2 days, recording yourself speaking. Every Wednesday, going for a walk and speaking to yourself. Every day at, I don't know, 10 a.m. in the morning or 8 a.m. in the morning as you're having breakfast, reviewing vocabulary, right? These are eventually going to help you a lot with your goals, your habits of today. I'm going to repeat that so you guys can hear. The habits you have today determine your future fluency eventually. And the last thing I mentioned was discipline. Be okay being seen trying. Be comfortable. Learn to be comfortable. It's a skill that other people are watching you when you aren't doing something perfectly. It's never about you. You are just learning a skill, right? Acquiring a skill eventually. Questions. I don't know. I'm gonna check out the TikTok as well if anybody has any questions. But come over to YouTube if you guys want to have questions as well, and I'm more than happy to answer. Anybody wants their cute little questions right here on the screen? If I speak English, sometimes suddenly the words blank fill my head. So that's psychology, right? If you're nervous, your brain cannot think. So that's why your primary goal with speaking first is to calm yourself down. Breathing, there are so many different things we do with my students. We do breathing techniques. I shared one on my TikTok last year. We do hypnosis, meditation, things like that that really help you understand that you don't need to be nervous about being nervous. And then when you don't feel nervous, you'll be able to remember more, right? So when we are in a state, when we speak English, but we are nervous about making mistakes, our brain is ready to leave, is ready to escape, because it's in a position just like in danger, right? For the brain, it doesn't know the difference between a real danger, like let's say there is a tiger in the cave, and speaking English with other people. So your brain is going to shut down your thinking. When you are scared, you don't have time to think, right? When there is a tiger in the cave, you need to leave. You are not going to have the analytical ability to decide, okay, what am I going to do now? So the important part of speaking and remembering vocabulary is relaxing, finding ways to calm yourself down. Even if you're nervous, you can find ways to say, okay, I'm feeling nervous now. That's totally normal. I'm doing something new. And I can calm myself down. Okay. Any other questions? Let's see if anything else is coming up. I know, Lucas, you always ask about your pronunciation, right? I wouldn't worry too much. I know that you try to improve that. There are so many ways you can also improve. I would say focus on one sound, right? Any other questions? No more questions? Okay, so if you guys have no more questions, then I'm gonna probably wrap up. I hope you guys, this is probably gonna be on my YouTube channel, so you guys can watch it through if there's anything you might wanna know more about, but just remember, your number one job is to find ways to stay on track. If life gets in the way, if you get more busy, don't quit, just slow down, okay? So instead of maybe 3 hours of English, at least do 1. Why am I saying that? Because I've seen so many people in the last 16 years of teaching English who gave up English. They were like, oh yeah, I'm gonna take a break for 3 months. And that 3 months turned into 3 years or 5 years. It's so much harder to get back on track when you break your habits. So whenever you get into a situation where you're too busy to spend all your time with English, the key is to find a way around it. And maybe just do an hour. Maybe just do 30 minutes, or just rearrange your daily schedule. But don't give up, and definitely don't stop. Just slow down, because when you stop, when you quit, you are going to come back much later than you think, right? This all requires forward thinking. Every successful English communicator has this skill, making decisions not based on how you feel right now, but how you want to feel after you do something. That's going to help you in any situation, okay? Anytime you feel you have a decision to make about your English, ask yourself this one question. What is my English going to look like, or my life going to look like in 6 months if I do this? And what is my life going to look like if I don't do this? Okay, that's going to help you a lot. Promise me you will stay on track, because I do believe speaking English fluently and confidently can absolutely change your life, guys. Don't forget that. Cool. Thank you so much, guys, for joining, for celebrating with me. I'm gonna get back to TikTok at the usual time, so 10 p.m. Central Indonesia time. And yeah, if anybody has any questions after watching the replay, just leave a comment right under as well. I'm more than happy to help. Thank you guys so much for being here, for leaving the comments here as well. And can't wait to see you guys soon. Hope you have a nice start of next week as well. Take care.